This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, and welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel today. 2 episodes in one day. Oh my goodness, that's a lot going on as of late. Anyway, you know what? There is a lot going on. The Oilers. Big news out of today is that Daniel Nugent-Bowman athletic article, the interview with Ken Holland that's come together, and we could probably do 6 or 7 different videos on this article. And today, of course, I already focused on trading, right? Nothing's going to happen until the off season or the official off season, or i.e. when playoffs are over. So that's kind of the key term here. Playoffs are over, then the Oilers will do a trade, not before. So with that in mind, if you haven't watched the holding pattern video from earlier today, do that. And we will now move into talking about trades again, all right? Because this is the interesting part about this article. It kind of weaves and works through the ebbs and flows of being in the off season in unprecedented times as the NHL playoffs continue along. That being, for us, what do we do with that first round pick, right? 14th overall. So the Oilers in the past 3 drafts, as it currently stacks up, this one included, 14th 2020, 8th in 2019, and 10th in 2018. So that's a good cream of the crop. You can get a lot of good players in those stretch, and we've already got Evan Bouchard and Philip Broberg in that stretch. And now we get to see kind of what's going on. And let's go revisit those old draft rankings from TSN's Bob McKenzie before he announced his semi-retirement. And I'll take you from 11th all the way to 25th. And we'll talk about why 25th for a reason. Yaroslav Askarov, obviously the goalie that's everyone's watching. You have to figure out where he goes. Does he fill up Broberg and jump into the top 5 or something silly? Who knows? So that's one stretch. Anton Lundell, does he fall? Does he go higher? That's another question there. Dawson Mercer, now you're getting into number 13, where it could be a flip-flop with Caden Gooley for number 14. Hendricks Lapierre for number 15. Dylan Holloway at 16. Braden Schneider at 17. Seth Jarvis at 18. Rodion Amarov at number 19. Lucas Reichel at 20. Jacob Perreault at 21. Connor Zary at 22. Jason Paterka at number 23. I think I messed that up, by the way. Just don't ride me too much. I haven't really studied the bottom half of the first round. Ridley Gregg, Justin Barron, Maverick Bork, William Wallander, Noel Gunler. That'll take us all the way to number 28. We'll finish off 29. Tyson Forster, Brendan Brisson, number 30, and Jake Neighbors at number 31. So that's from 11 to 31 in this draft. The reason I mentioned this, and back to that, the Athletic article from Daniel Nugent-Bowman, is the simple fact that Ken Holland is quoted in this article as saying this next following paraphrase from the Daniel Nugent-Bowman article. Would I be open to trading back from the 14th pick? Yeah. I don't see us leaving the first round. We feel good about pick 14. We think we're going to get a really good young player there. But if somebody wants to move up, I've traded back before and it's worked out. It depends what's offered or if anything's offered. So there you go. Again, talking about Ken Holland and the whole trade strategy and the whole holding pattern thing, whether this is a little bit of gamesmanship saying nothing's been offered, or a little bit of gamesmanship kind of to other NHL GMs who have offered him something for the first or for the 14th pick in the first round in 2020, saying, nah, I wouldn't even consider what you've offered me an offer. And that's the interesting part here as well. Like I said, we don't see any trades more than likely from Ken Holland until the playoffs are done. So at this point, Ken Holland can sit here and name whatever price he wants, and it's just a lineup to see if anyone ends up matching it by his deadline. That's the beauty of this. But in the kind of actual situation we find ourselves in, being open with a GM that we have, with veteran experience, with everything that comes with Ken Holland, he knows what he's doing at the draft. I don't have to defend his track record at the draft. And the Oilers are in kind of a precarious situation, right? They have till the end of the second round to say if they're sending the draft pick 2020 or 2021 to the Calgary Flames. And of course, we've already heard Bob Stauffer said that we're going to send it in 21. There's so many different things the Oilers are set up to do in the draft. But if you move back in this draft, is what do you do? Do you go out and do you get a player with that pick? But then, right? Why would you go dump a 14th overall for say 28th overall and the player to add cap and really not make much? So this is where the Oilers could capitalize on having a top 15 draft pick, trade a bigger salary, and go for that bigger trade, right? If you get an Adam Larson, a Darnell Nurse, an Andre Athanasiou, I don't know who else you could throw in there, an Oscar Klefbom if you want to get wild. Throw those guys into the mix in a trade with the 14th overall to slide back to 28th to 31st. You could get a very, very serviceable $3.5–3 million player that could change the complexion of this Oilers team and really achieve everything you need to do in one foul swoop, right? If it's dollars out, dollars in on the front end instead of the back end, and you free up that spot on the back end for, honestly, not sure who it's going to be at this point. Right up, it's kind of getting sketchy because Evan Bouchard, Philip Broberg, and Caleb Jones all seem to be kind of fighting for one spot at this point. And I mean, Philip Broberg, we did not plan on Philip Broberg to be fighting for a spot at this point, right? We thought another SHL and then come to the AHL, then get underway and go. But Philip Broberg comes to main camp for the playoffs and absolutely, I think, blew everybody's minds, and that's really going to play deep into what happens next year, especially the longer the NHL season is delayed, right? Obviously, we're talking December 1st as of now, but it's probably December 2nd, 3rd, 4th now. Move it down the line some more because you just never know what's going to happen in 2020. So you're suddenly talking December 15th. He's now played an extra week over in the SHL and found himself 3 or 4 extra points. That's the thing, right? Philip Broberg, definite wild card. And that's where, again, back to my point, I talked 2 weeks ago about trading one defenseman for sure, figuring out what you do with a second, whether you let Matt Benning go or you trade a second defenseman. You got to figure out what you do on the back end. But if you can solve 2 birds with 1 stone, in essence working with what Ken Holland's talking about with trading the 14th overall pick to go backwards in the first round draft, suddenly this opens up a whole nother list of possibilities that we didn't think were there. And I mean, you know what? Yeah, obviously, after everything we've gone through the past 3 years, we should, after finally making the playoffs, not making the playoffs, the stats counted as playoffs, so you tell me what they are. It's not like we just play. Sorry, don't know. But 14th overall, after drafting 8th and 10th back-to-back years and getting your potential top 2 pairing moving forward for the next several years, up to a decade even, Bouchard and Broberg, what do you do with 14th overall? Do you go down in a very deep draft, what has been coined probably the deepest draft in a long time? Do you move down to the 30 range, 28, 25, somewhere in there, and go out and get yourself a stud forward at that 3 to 3.5 million range for a guy that has a $4 to $5 million cap hit, right? You go on the sliding scale all the way from Chris Russell to Darnell Nurse at 5.6. And I'm sorry, here's the thing again to anyone that thinks that trading Darnell Nurse is absolutely a stupid idea. Do you think Darnell Nurse is worth 1.5 million more than Oscar Klefbom? You tell me. See, now let's have that debate. But right, the sliding scale with Klefbom and Larson in the middle between those two. If you move one of those guys, add in that guy, all of a sudden, guys, you've got yourself something of value. But again, it comes down to cap. And yes, I'm saying, you know what, let's work with a span of maybe $1.5 million in cap space total difference in the trade. That suddenly becomes a lot more workable for NHL teams with a flat cap and trading at the draft than trying to make a big move and go Darnell Nurse this guy and this guy for that guy and make the dollars make sense, because you're just not going to do it. But the Oilers at the same rate have always been a cap team, and I think Ken Holland in the Athletic article also mentioned the Oilers are going to be a cap team, and that's just the way it's going to be. So There's a lot you can do here, and I think that's going to be the interesting part for us to watch moving forward is, yes, trade's not happening immediately, but we've got options on the table, and Ken Holland is leaving them on the table. He isn't axing them away, right? It would be very easy in this draft as a veteran GM, knowing, hey, you know what? I haven't seen a draft like this since then. You know what? You say, no, I'm keeping this pick, not up for negotiation. Goodbye, sorry. Don't even pick up the phone when somebody says, hey, I want that 14th pick. I'm going to call your office line in 5 minutes and we'll discuss. You don't even pick up the phone. But Ken Holland keeping it open because, ladies and gentlemen, there is some room to negotiate, and Ken Holland, all options on the table while we sit in the holding pattern until the NHL playoffs are over. I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will catch you, as always, in the next one.